So, Mark, did you see that picture of the dueling gorillas on Fremont Street dancing away, trying to get their tips? I responded with a meme, but nobody seemed to care.
I liked it. I mean, I'm one of two, I think. No, it's just this is like your dream. You're obsessed with the gorilla, and now there's two of them.
I mean, what's the limit here? How high could we go? Could we get 5 or 6 gorillas out on Fremont Street?
Anything to get rid of the showgirls, please.
So bad news for all the Vegas Golden Knights fans. They lost to the Edmonton Oilers. They got outplayed in this series. Nothing crazy about that, but they deserve to lose. I hate to say it. Parkway Taverns, after the Golden Knights got their one win with 0.4 seconds left in the game, they bought like 165 billboards around Edmonton to sort of taunt them. Obviously, we know how that worked out for us, but it was an interesting sort of thing that they did.
I guess, it seems like a waste of money when it's not gonna, nobody from Edmonton's going to be going to those bars. So I don't know. It just seems like a waste of money, but also it puts you in the news. We're talking about it. Other people talked about it. So maybe it was smart, got a lot of publicity.
Yeah, I think it could be that. And then you get the Vegas fans, the people who love the Golden Knights here, who actually live in the city where the Parkway Taverns are, want to go. So I guess it's good. I mean, we pissed off the Canadians enough, haven't we? Like, do we really need to push the button anymore? Of course, they got the last
This
left.
is the straw that breaks the camel's back. They're coming marching towards the border because of the Vegas Knights.
They already hate Vegas fans. If you've ever met a Canadian traveling and you say I'm from Vegas and like Golden Knights, they just scowl at us as hockey fans. They feel like we had it too easy, all of that. One less Golden Knights thing, this cool piece of art that turned the Golden Knights car into a transformer, AI generated, but I thought it was pretty cool. Worth sharing.
Yeah, it looks like it could be from the movie or whatever. It's always fun when like a fan or something does something that you're like, oh, wow, that's pretty cool, and put time into it. It's not like you're making it for anything but yourself. I always enjoy that stuff.
So we have a series of restaurant stories, starting with Hogs and Heifers. We had talked a little bit about it on the last show, but then a bunch of new information came out, so I cut it and we moved it here. Hogs and Heifers is going to close on July 6th. The owners want to relocate it somewhere else. The owners of Downtown Grand basically saying your lease is running out. We don't want you here anymore. And this is as it seems like the owners of Hogs and Heifers confirm that Downtown Grand is for sale in negotiations with Penske Media. They own Rolling Stone. That's been the rumor, that it will become the Rolling Stone Hotel. This doesn't really have anything to do with Penske Media. Basically, the word on the street is that the crowd that Hogs and Heifers attracted just isn't what they want in that area.
Yeah, I was surprised they must be doing a good business if they wanted. I think they offered to pay up to 150% of the rent that they pay now to go like month to month and that type of thing. You would think if you're in the process of selling, you never know if that goes through or it doesn't, and maybe you just keep bringing that money in until they take over and let them decide what to do with it. The fact that they're turning it down means there must be something that's gone down there. They just don't like what happens, or maybe those people will come into the casino and they don't appreciate it. I don't know, but it seems weird that you would turn down that kind of money. And the fact that they're willing to pay it means it must be a pretty successful business. Hopefully they're able to find a place that works for them and works for their patrons and continue operating, since it seems to be one of the better spots in Vegas, at least making money.
Well, the word on the street was that, the people don't like the crowd there. It's a biker bar and stuff. I just want to point out, we love the bikers. So all you bikers out there, just, we love you. Nothing bad to say about you. I hope Hogs and Heifers finds a new home. And we'll go celebrate with the bikers when they do.
I mean, bikers are some of the nicest people you'll ever meet. They look rough and scary, and they can be, but I've been into biker clubhouses, hung out there, not dressed like a biker, and they were super cool and had a good time. Most of them are ex-military, so yeah, I wouldn't see any problem with that. Hopefully they find a good spot.
So another restaurant story, Cathedrale, that's the restaurant that opened in 2023 in Aria near... Well, let's start. What was dumb about this? Spending $30 million on a restaurant you couldn't see from the casino. I mean, this restaurant is gorgeous, just absolutely gorgeous. Probably one of the nicest restaurant spaces in all of Las Vegas. They have that Oculus weird thing in the ceiling in the main dining room that looks cool. And all of it's for naught because it's going out of business. It's now closing on May 31st because they couldn't make it work. Tao Hospitality Group owns it. They spent a ton of money on this. And it's funny because there's an interview with the guy kind of behind designing it saying that we didn't want it to be open to the casino floor. And I think that backfired. Orticchio, I showed you at Green Valley Ranch, one of the new restaurants that opened where the buffet was the only one not open to the casino floor, and it closed after a year. I feel like that synergy is sort of needed in a lot of cases, especially when you have like 10, 12 restaurants in a place.
Yeah, I've been in Aria quite a few times over the last couple of years, and I've never really noticed this place. So I don't think it did it any favors. That was a complaint at some of the restaurants that I had at Fountain Blue was you couldn't really tell until you opened the door and looked in. And a lot of people aren't going to do that because they feel uncomfortable. Like if you open the door, peek in, you don't think it's for you. Oh, I don't want to be embarrassed or whatever. So you have to have, maybe you can close off a portion of it, but you have to have some type of view if it's the vibe or design that you like or whatever. Yeah, maybe there's some mystery to it, but I think it works more against you than for you. And it seems like this is played true in a different couple locations.
And finally, Zaytinya, Jose Andres' new Mediterranean restaurant. I've eaten there in Washington, D.C. The food is fantastic. It opened at Forum Shops May 13th. Eric, one of our viewers, sent me some video from there, and we have some pictures from the opening. It looks very nice. Supposed to be a Mediterranean country home as you sort of walk in, and then it becomes a finer dining as you go back. Like I said, the food there is incredible based on my one experience in DC. And Jose Andres, I've never had a bad piece of food from his restaurants.
Yeah, I really love the curved bar area. Got some blue, some brightness, but it like feels like it brings you in and it's more of a spectacle looking at it. I don't know if I love the design of the actual dining area. It feels a little bit weird. I don't know. Maybe it's just me and maybe it's better in person. But from the pictures and stuff, it just feels a little bit off.
Well, looking at it after you look at Cathedrale, I mean, it's clear that Cathedrale, they spent a lot more money on the dining room and it's a lot nicer. But the food I'm sure is incredible there. Yeah, this design isn't like making me jump out of my seat, but the food should be incredible. And Jose Andres, he's rebuilding Bizarre Meat now at Palazzo, and he has China Poblano and many other restaurants here. He really has created a Vegas food empire, and I think his name is synonymous with Vegas more than any other chef these days, I would say.
Yeah, and I think that will make this successful because anybody that loves his other locations is going to come here to try it out, and you have that name built in, a head chef built into it. So just like a Gordon Ramsay, all his restaurants seem to do really well because that's a big brand name out there. So I expect this to be successful and the food to be great, and hopefully we get a lot of good feedback.
The difference is Andres didn't sell out like Gordon Ramsay. He actually owns his restaurants, but small details.
Hey, the fish and chips are still good.
True. As a reminder, we have our Patreon. $5 a month gets you access to our weekly after show, behind the channel, things we don't talk about here. Lots of laughs as well. Patreon.com/MTM Vegas for all the information. And thanks to everybody who supports us over there. So it's May 16th, Mark, and the Glow Pool at Flamingo is still not open. They're promising that it will open this month, but they did release a promo video, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I thought it looked really great. And that, I don't know, is that like a cabana in the center? It looks like it has like swim up bar seats and then a couch in the middle. So maybe that'll be like the most happening place in Vegas to rent out a cabana. I don't know. And then they have a whole bunch of other little in the water chairs with umbrellas and everything. It looks like a great area. It does seem like you're losing a bit of the pool. Like there's not as much pool area. There's more seating, more concrete than there was before. That's at least the way I'm remembering it. And I don't know if that will be a problem because that pool was always packed as it was, and it was pretty long and sprawling.
The hype is real. Flamingo, you're way late on this. It's so interesting. Released the promo video when the pool should have been open a month ago. But yeah, it looks like they're on the final touches. They did say this month, so I'm guessing by May 31st, it should be open. So looking forward to seeing what the final product looks like.
You would think they'd try to get it open for Memorial Day weekend, wouldn't you?
You would think they would have tried to get it open a month ago, like they said, but sometimes, best plans don't work out.
Perfection takes time, Sean. I mean, give them a break.
Speaking of perfection, EDC is happening this weekend, and it's just another year, Mark, that we break our promise of going there one day. We once made a middle of the night promise to do it, and we still haven't.
Yeah, we made a promise to ride the helicopter. Maybe when we hit 100,000 subscribers, we'll go to EDC on the helicopter.
We're doing so much at 100,000 subscribers. That would be cool. Maverick Helicopters, they get paid promotion from influencers for their helicopter ride. We'll give it to them for free because this does look like the coolest way to go. I don't know what the prices are. I'll see if I can find them and throw them up on the screen. But that is definitely the coolest way to get out there. Traffic is a nightmare getting out to the Speedway. Imagine just flying in, getting to see all the lights and the rides from the air. And I think that's a cool thing. It's not cheap, I remember, but yeah, certainly one of the cooler things in Vegas.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm envisioning like $700. I feel like that was but I don't know if that's accurate or not. When Sean throws it up on the screen, we'll see how close I was.
Speaking of screens, we got some pictures from Vital Vegas of Ellis Island's expansion. The building is going up, and now the screens are going up on the outside. So, another building that's going to have screens as the facade. We already know that. And we've talked about this before. Good to see Ellis Island getting some new hotness. And I love these smaller expansions. We talked about El Cortez. Fremont Downtown has one. We're getting these new little expansions that kind of add some new life to these older properties.
Yeah, I love when the local casinos add a bit, and everything we've seen from Ellis Island up until now has been great. So I expect this to be, in the same vein. I don't love that there's more screens, but this one seems to kind of blend in a bit better.
So remember that Bellagio expansion we talked about that was going to basically mirror the right side of the lake by adding shopping, dining, and connecting it to Cosmo. And I think this was a brilliant idea and something that they should have done. They never officially announced it, although they did submit documents to the planning board and then brought them back. Well, Vital Vegas is now reporting that it's on the shelf for now. I kind of assumed this with tariffs and all the uncertainty. MGM has a ton of projects like in Japan that they're really focusing their capital on. I hope this happens someday because it looks beautiful. It looks like it should have been like that all along from these renderings, and it's probably going to be a long time, but I still think they're going to build this at some point. It makes sense to connect the properties, add more retail, add more dining, stuff that they love to do.
Yeah, hopefully when all that gets settled and calmed down, they'll come back and do this, because I think it would add a lot of value. It would make it more symmetrical, and then people would have more places to go eat, more shopping, and it would be successful. I mean, the Bellagio is always packed. There's always a ton of people, and people love the restaurants there. I think adding more would be a big success for MGM. So hopefully they do it and don't get too shy about it or scared away. Spend the money. Let's make it right. And, having that connection too to the other property, to Cosmo, would be a huge plus as well.
If only they own the land, they might be a little easier to do this. Let's just say that. If they own the land, they could probably do this a little easier.
Yeah, I still don't get that. Sell your most valuable asset right out from underneath you. And then, spending millions and hundreds of millions of dollars on land that you don't own is kind of crazy.
So let's talk good news here. If you've searched for a hotel or ticket prices in the last few days, you have probably noticed that you're seeing the final price. It's pretty amazing. The new FTC rules on disclosure for ancillary fees like resort fees has now gone live. And I don't understand why it couldn't have been like this from the beginning. But basically, when you search on a site like Expedia, you'll see the price, including resort fees. I believe most of the Vegas casinos on their websites have complied. Overall, this is a good sign. Resort fees aren't going anywhere, but now, at least when you search, you'll see what the price is. And that's a huge improvement.
I think this is good. And maybe, do you think it'll get people to complain less about resort fees since they'll just assume it's the room rate?
Yeah, that'll be interesting, right? If they don't really notice, it'll still be broken down. But the good thing is this: if you go to Expedia and you're comparing prices across properties, now you can just see the price. You don't have to go click through to see it. This actually does make comparison shopping easier. Overall, this is a huge win for consumers.
Yeah, I agree. This is all we've asked for. It should have never taken this long. Just make it so that we know exactly what we're doing when we're comparing properties. Make it easy, and then nobody's getting shocked at checkout. I mean, they still might complain that there's a resort fee, but they'll have to realize that is the price that you were going to pay from the beginning. Like, that's what you saw when you searched. So it should bring a little bit of the complaints down, I think.
But it is a good point. If it's not like out there in front, do people notice to complain anymore? I'd love to hear it. I think that you and I have probably moved past the complaining portion. We accept them. We understand what they're there for. And basically, at the end of the day, that final price you're paying is what you should be looking at. And now it's right there up front for you. So stop complaining. Enjoy the resort. I don't know. It's terrible, but this is the way it should be. It should just be $60 includes resort fee, $100 includes resort fee. Now you don't have to worry about all of the nonsense.
We've talked about this a lot, but the pricing is the pricing. Like, if there was no resort fee, the room would still be the same price. It would just be all in the room rate, or even more, because they get to keep all of the resort fee, where they have to pay out to Expedia on the room rate. So I think this actually has kept room rates down lower, having resort fees, than it would have otherwise, because all these Expedias and Orbits, all that stuff of the world would have been getting a bigger cut, so they would have had to charge more. So I think resort fees are good. They're going to roast me down in the comments, aren't they, after saying that?
Yeah, I think so. But, we've seen crazy screenshots of like dollar room prices advertised even in the last few weeks on sites like Expedia. So I think that overall, this is good, and it's just a back end thing now. That's the way you should see it, as sort of just a back end sort of thing. But let's move over to Cosmo, Mark, and burgers. You can win free smash burgers for a year. I think there's going to be more people here than probably should be, But Naughty Patty's is opening sometime later this summer at Cosmo, and they're doing like a pop-up on May 24th at 6 p.m. In fact, we won't even know until the day where exactly in Cosmo this pop-up is. So they're going to be giving samples of their food. I remember Prince Street Pizza doing this at Red Rock before they opened at Durango. But the first 25 people in line will get free burgers with one side of sexy for a year.
So do you just like walk around the Cosmo refreshing constantly your phone to see where it pops up, or is it going to be more of a scavenger hunt thing where they're not going to really announce it and you just kind of have to happen upon it and then sit there for a half a day? I don't know. I was thinking if everybody knew where it was going to be, how long do you think people would sit there? Like 2 days?
Yeah, that's the problem. I think that's maybe why they're doing this. They don't want people camping out. I mean, 25 people, you have to imagine it's not going to be a huge deal. I guess free samples is good. Is anybody going down there just for that? I don't know, but they always have good stuff there. This is going to be right between the food hall and China Poblano, and so it'll be right where all the restaurants are. I imagine that's where the pop-up thing will be as well, but you'll just have to hold your breath, wander around, and hope you spot where the line is so you could be one of the first 25 people.
Yeah, the burgers look good in the promos, and the fries look like they're like seasoned fries, almost like Rallies or Checkers type fries, so I love those. Definitely want to check it out.
And it doesn't say like what the limit is here. Is it one burger a week for a year? Who knows? But hopefully it's like unlimited and somebody who's really going to take advantage of it does it.
Watch somebody out of town wins and gets to eat like 2 burgers.
That's what they're counting on. And now let's talk about your favorite subject, Chippendales. They moved from Rio to Link, and they're in the Matt Franco Theater. Not doing well, apparently, selling 100 tickets a night. They're on house seats. It's a 600-seat theater. They were struggling at Rio before. Now, apparently, they're going to move to Planet Hollywood in a smaller theater, 300-seat theater over there. So hopefully they can win. I had a question for you. Who do you think makes more money? The fake Chippendales down on Fremont Street, or maybe they're real ones because they do have the branding there, or the ones that dance in the show?
Probably people on the street, I would think, because you're getting way more people walking by and giving you tips for pictures, all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, 600, it seems crazy that 600, you could find 600 people that want to watch a Chippendales show. But the most insane thing, I didn't realize this was even an option or a thing, but the Sunday afternoon matinee brunch,
called Chips and Salsa, by the way, which is the best name ever. It got canceled, though, because it wasn't popular enough. I think that would be amazing.
Who would have thought? Hey, do you want some dong with your eggs in the morning on Sunday? I mean, like, what the hell?
It's great, though. We all know that it's not about ticket sales with Chippendales. It really is about the sales in the gift shop, if you've ever wandered in there, because that's where all the money is.
Yeah, batteries, everything.
All right, and let's close with this. The LVCVA is in the news. First off, Steve Hale made some weird things this week. He was trying to assert that the A's ballpark construction had begun by, I don't know, talking about they moved some dirt or something, but the heart of it hasn't done. He was just trying to say we fulfilled our promise to start construction. Everybody was roasting.
Sounds like all that.
Well, maybe a little bit better than that, and they are expecting full construction to start this summer sometime. But the LVCVA made some interesting assertions. They're going to up their marketing budget tremendously over the next year to attract more domestic tourism to Las Vegas, as they estimate room revenues dropping by 5% this year. They say they are conservative, so this could be, the worst case scenario. We've seen, 2, 3, 4% drops in certain visitor numbers. I don't think anybody's saying that this is going to be a great summer for Las Vegas. And certainly this is another example of the powers that be indicating that.
I don't know. Do you think like advertising? I feel like everybody in the U.S. knows Las Vegas. I don't think anybody's gonna be like, "Oh, I just saw that ad for now I gotta go. I haven't been." It just seems like you're just throwing money out there when everybody kind of knows Las Vegas. I don't know. Maybe I'm being naive here, but it just seems crazy to be spending that kind of money.
Well, if you think about though what happens in Vegas, all these different taglines over the years and the atmosphere that they build,
bring that back.
That is all. That's all the LVCVA though. So that's just forms of that, finding the kind of way that Vegas ties into the now culture and to be the hip place and the place that you want to escape. And so it's not just about people knowing about Las Vegas. It's really about setting the stage and creating that FOMO, I guess, and that sort of atmosphere that people want to come visit. And I think what happens in Vegas was their best tagline ever. We should go back and look at all the taglines over the years, but that one really had some cultural strength with it.
Yeah, I think that'd be a fun topic. And, I bet you there's some that we wouldn't even, remember that we forgot or however you want to say that. But I think it would be a good topic. And fair point, Sean. They did come up with some great taglines and definitely drove some business. In the previous generation, I don't know that's needed so much more. You spend the money on influencers, however, all that stuff. I feel like that's where it would be going forward.
Speaking of influencers, we're still waiting for our offer from the LVCVA, but there were some interesting numbers in this article about their employees and how many employees they have. Going into COVID, they had 486 employees at the LVCVA. That's insane. I mean, they do run the convention center, so keep that in mind. And there's probably a lot of the employees have to do with the logistics and running the convention center. But they went down to 378 in 2022. They are back up to pre-pandemic levels, basically back up to 480 right now. So tons of employees over there. And like I said, let's make it 482 right here. Just hire us.
After you just busted Ramsey's balls for selling out. Yeah, let's do it.
We don't have to be consistent. Hypocrites are everywhere in the world these days. But, LVCVA is a super interesting thing. People should follow it. If you don't, they run all the marketing for here. They are a, government entity that also runs the convention center. So part of what they do is the marketing. Part of what they do is things like F1 or sponsor the Las Vegas ballpark in Summerlin. They actually pay $3 million a year for the rights to call that the Las Vegas ballpark, stuff like that. Fascinating organization.
Maybe don't spend that money anymore.
We've criticized them for F1 and being in bed with them. This is why they don't hire us. But they're really essential to Las Vegas, and they're essential to creating the Las Vegas mystique, I think, that goes around the world. That whole brand, those advertising, really the LVCVA is behind it, and they do deserve credit for that, even if they are so wrong on F1. And there goes our influencer contract. But in the meantime, let us know what you guys think about anything we talked about today. Jose Andres' new restaurant, Cathedrale. Did you ever get to eat there? The LVCVA, chips and salsa. Are you sad that you never got to go to the chips and salsa brunch? Are the guys on Fremont Street making more money? Dancing Gorilla. Who makes more money, the Fremont Street Chippendales or the Dancing Gorillas? That's the big question. Let us know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
Have a good weekend, everybody.